During the second presidential debate on Sunday night, Donald Trump suggested he would appoint an attorney general and urged the new AG to appoint a special prosecutor to investigate Hillary Clinton's email malfeasance. When Clinton protested that, quote, "It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country," Trump fired back because he'd be in jail, which was funny. The media, of course, went apoplectic. How could Trump suggest he'd jail his opponents? CNN's Dana Bash compared Trump to Stalin and Hitler. Clinton's campaign manager Pearl clutched, quote, "He was talking like he would become some dictator of a banana republic and throw her and his political enemies in jail." This is, to put it mildly, very, very silly. Trump didn't say that he'd single-handedly send a military squad to round up Hillary and her aides and then dump them in a darkened cell somewhere before beating confessions out of them. He said there would be a real investigation and that he believes Hillary's guilty. Both of these notions are plausible, and both are justified given the FBI's ridiculously rigged investigation into Hillary's email server. Trump never said due process ought to be discarded or Hillary ought to be summarily executed. Hillary's allies have for years suggested that politicians up to and including George W. Bush be frog-marched out of their abodes and into the gentle hands of law enforcement. The media's sudden obsession with law and order is fascinating after years of covering up the Obama administration's routine violation of legal process. From the IRS's targeting of conservatives to the administration's targeting of journalists to the Hillary investigation, the Obama administration has operated like a banana republic. To target Trump over far milder statements is hypocrisy, to say the least. But that's how the left operates. It's not a banana republic if leftists administer the banana republic. That's a pretty convenient standard for a group of people who would allow any Democrat to violate the law on a routine basis and then call anyone who complained disloyal. I'm Ben Shapiro. This is The Ben Shapiro Show. Oh, goody gumdrops. So much to get to today, including Donald Trump finally breaking loose of those chains I've been talking about for so long. We'll get to all of it because no one said the apocalypse wouldn't be fun. And we just said that it would be painful, and both of those things are true. Okay, so before we do that, obviously we have to say hello to our friends at Birch Gold. If you are worried about the impending doom of the country, then you might be interested in investing in precious metals because the fact is the economy right now is inflated in a couple of different ways. In the real estate market, it's inflated. In the stock market, it's inflated. And the Birch Gold Group is a place that you want to talk to if you want to take part of your portfolio and put it into precious metals. Part of my portfolio is in precious metals. These are folks that I would trust with this. They have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, and they know all about how you can move your IRA or 401k if you wanted into precious metals. You need to give them a call. Birch Gold Group, 800-496-6663, 800-496-6663. Ask all your questions, get all your information, or go to birchgold.com/Ben. That's 800-496-6663, online at birchgold.com/Ben. Use the /Ben so they know that we sent you, and they'll send you a 16-page informational kit about investing in precious metals. Ask all your questions, get all your answers, and then think about doing some investment in precious metals. Okay, so we will begin today with Donald Trump. So we'll get to Hillary Clinton in a little while because Hillary continues to be just a terrible, awful person. There are new John Podesta emails showing that Hillary was coordinating apparently with the Department of Justice over her investigations. There's an email that's been taken slightly out of context saying that Hillary doesn't like talking about everyday people, says she hates everyday people. Some people are taking that slightly out of context, but the Podesta emails are a disaster for her. They demonstrate that she is a full-fledged manipulative politician, that the DNC was absolutely attempting to help her defeat Bernie Sanders, and that she's been manipulating on everything from Benghazi to the email server. But obviously, the big story of the day is Donald Trump is absolutely melting down. The polls are coming out, and the polls are awful. The polls are just terrible. There was a poll yesterday, NBC Wall Street Journal poll. We talked about it yesterday. In a four-way race, he is down 11 points. In a two-way race, he is down 14 points. Second poll out today, nationally, in a two-way race, he is down 11 points. There's going to be another NBC poll that comes out today, updated after the debate. It is not expected to look good for Donald Trump. So Donald Trump today did what you would expect Donald Trump to do. He's now playing the con game. We talked about this yesterday, and it's a con now, okay? Because Donald Trump knows he's going to lose, and he's got Steve Bannon at his wrist telling him, Donald, just be you, because we're going to take revenge on all the people who deserve the revenge. This is no longer about winning. This is about creating a narrative for Donald Trump. So Donald Trump's doing two things in this con game. The first thing that he's doing is he's setting up what they called in Germany after World War I, the Durchstoßlegend, the stab in the back, right? The idea that Donald Trump was about to win. He was just on the verge of winning when suddenly he was stabbed in the back. This is a bunch of crap. Donald Trump fell apart because Donald Trump's a really bad candidate. Donald Trump blew himself up after that first debate. We talked about it here on the show. He had pulled even in the polls. He had all the momentum going into that first debate. He fell apart, and then he imploded because he felt it was more important to talk about Miss Universe from 1997 being fat than to talk about issues that mattered and to continue attacking Hillary Clinton. Then, of course, this tape, the grab him by the blank tape, drops on Friday, and Trump collapses even further. And that collapse has not been slowed, so far as we know, in any of the polls. The bottom seems to have dropped out of his base of support. So Donald Trump is blaming everybody else. It's everybody else's fault. So Donald Trump is now tweeting. He's now tweeting. And here's what Donald Trump is tweeting. Okay, this is all over the last 24 hours. Paul Ryan should spend more time on balancing the budget, jobs, and illegal immigration, and not waste his time on fighting the Republican nominee. Now, the reason Trump is going after Paul Ryan is because the Speaker of the House did a conference call with fellow Republicans where he basically said, look, I'm still supporting Donald Trump, but you're not going to see me out there defending him loudly, and you're not going to see me campaigning with him. And the reason he's not going to do that is because he knows the toxicity of Donald Trump has down-ballot effects. Okay, so we're now going to talk about the real world for just a second, and then I'll explain what Trump is doing, okay? Here's the real world. The real world is that Donald Trump is going to lose. I'm not going to tell you pretty stories, as I said yesterday. You can go to a lot of places that tell you that Donald Trump is still on the verge of victory. Everything is fine. Everything is dandy. If all the people would just jump on board like Bill Mitchell or Mike Cernovich say, then everything would just be spectacular. If Laura Ingraham says that we're this close to victory, if Sean Hannity says that we are just on the verge, that this is the moment, then if everyone just jumped aboard, if they would stop with the stabbing in the back, Donald Trump would be fine. No, he wouldn't. Okay, Donald Trump is trashed. He is toast. That's his own fault. He's a crappy candidate. Okay, that's what's happening in the real world. So assume for a second that I and every number being put out are right, as opposed to people who think differently based on both lack of data as well as the crap that comes out of their face, okay? Because there's certain of us that actually believe in evidence and statistics and reality, and certain people who apparently are more interested in purveying myths about the chances Donald Trump wins this election. Right now, Donald Trump has less than a 20% shot of winning this election, according to 538. There are two separate polls that have him down double digits. His average in the Real Clear Politics poll average, he is now down nearly 7 points in that race. Sean Trend at Real Clear Politics basically called the race this morning. He is losing in every single swing state with the exception of Iowa, and there have been no new state polls since the news of this tape broke and since that second debate, which, by the way, I thought he won, but the Snap poll said that he lost. So, okay, all that on the table. Let's just assume, for the sake of argument, that I'm right. And all the data. Let's assume for the sake of argument that what people think in their unicorn-filled heads is not true, and that data and statistics actually matter, and that you want to hear the truth. Okay, so Trump is going to lose. Assume that's right. All of these other arguments no longer matter. Okay, none of the arguments that we've been making for a year matter anymore. They don't. They only mattered in a close election. Trump is better than Clinton. Arguments irrelevant, he's going to lose. The Supreme Court, irrelevant, and Donald Trump is actually attacking all of the senators he would need in order to ram through a conservative nominee anyway, so he never cared about it. The 2005 tape is overblown. Irrelevant, because people obviously don't think it's overblown. There's whether it's overblown, which is one issue, and there are people like Andrew Klavan who think it is. That's fine, but that doesn't change the reality. Most Americans don't think it's overblown, and you can see it in the polls. Americans are upset by it. And second, morally speaking, you shouldn't go on national TV and downplay people talking about sexual assault. Just as a general moral matter, it doesn't seem like a smart or decent thing to do. Argument 4, cucks. You're all cucks, right? Everybody who's not backing Trump is cuck. Completely irrelevant if Donald Trump is losing. Because I'll tell you something, there's nothing more cuck-servative than handing the Congress over to Democrats because you're too mad to vote for people down ballot who aren't endorsing Donald Trump. And then finally, this is the establishment's fault. It's Paul Ryan's fault. The Durchstoßlegend, it's the legend of the stab in the back. It's Paul Ryan's fault. Paul Ryan is still supporting him. Reince Priebus is still supporting him. Mitch McConnell is still supporting him. This is all on Trump, and it's all irrelevant anyway, because if Trump is losing, all that matters is whether other people lose with him. All that matters is that you have a Republican Congress that is able to stymie Hillary in some way. And let's not pretend, okay, let's not fall into this myth that there's no difference whether there's a Congress that's Republican or a Congress that's Democrat. I've been disappointed by the Republican Congress, too. They should have done more to stymie Obama on spending. They should have done more to stop the Iran deal. That was a disgrace. They should have done more to stop Obama on executive amnesty. That was disgraceful. All of that said, Things are a lot worse when Democrats run all the branches of government. Do you not remember Obamacare? Do you not remember the stimulus package? Do you not remember the tax increases? Okay, lots of bad things happen when Democrats run all the branches of government. So if just out of pure spite, you decide that Democrats should run the entire government because you love Donald Trump so much, let me recommend that you take a second thought at that. Okay, so now Donald Trump is in a situation. Donald Trump knows that he's got a problem and that he's falling apart. And so he has to somehow preserve the myth that he is a big winner. He's a huge winner. He's going to win bigly if he had not been stabbed in the back. So that means he's going to do two things now. Okay, he's going to do two things. Thing number one that Donald Trump is going to do is he's going to claim that everybody is stabbing him in the back, right? It's all a stab in the back, and he's by himself. Okay, this is a Breitbart routine. This is a Steve Bannon routine. I know Steve. Steve wants everything to burn. He's only interested in burning everything down. Burning everything down sounds like a lot of fun until it turns out you're inside the house. Okay, right now, we're all inside the house because we have to live in this country together, and it turns out that Hillary and her Democrats running the country does not seem like a good plan. So here's what Donald Trump is tweeting. Remember, we're 27 days from an election. He's more interested in knocking Republicans out of Congress than in allowing Republicans to stop Hillary Clinton because he knows he's going to lose. All he cares about is his ego. So here's Trump. Despite winning the second debate in a landslide, it is hard to do well when Paul Ryan and others give zero support. Okay, want to point something out. I'm old enough to remember when Donald Trump said he didn't need anybody else's support. He didn't need Paul Ryan's support or Ted Cruz's support. He didn't need the establishment support. Winning against Hillary was going to be so easy. And then he built no campaign infrastructure and relied on the RNC and is whining when Paul Ryan still endorses him but won't go out and campaign for him in the aftermath of a tape that would absolutely devastate the Republicans down ballot. Okay, that's not all from Donald Trump. He says this. Our very weak and ineffective leader, Paul Ryan, had a bad conference call where his members went wild at his disloyalty. Right, so now we're no longer worried about winning. Now we're worried about disloyalty. Okay, we've got Trump over here in the Fuhrer bunker as everything burns around him, saying that every candidate must go down with him. Every candidate must go down with him to demonstrate loyalty, right? All that matters is loyalty. Donald Trump does not get to talk about loyalty to Republicans when in the first place he was the guy who threatened running third party throughout the primaries. And in the second place, he's now in the middle of an election cycle ripping everybody on the down ballot. I never supported Donald Trump, but I always said vote down ballot, and I always said that if you want to vote Donald Trump to stop Hillary, I understand. I have my own assessment of the risk, but I understand what you're doing. Donald Trump is talking loyalty. The only loyalty Trump cares about is loyalty to Donald Trump. And then finally, Donald Trump finished up with a couple more tweets. This one particularly said, "It is so nice the shackles have been taken off me, and I can now fight for America the way I want to." So let me just point something out. If you've been watching this show, you know how hilarious this is to me personally, because I've been saying for literally months now that Donald Trump was chained up in a basement by Kellyanne Conway, and eventually he would escape and trample the small children. This is what I wrote for an actual syndicated column, September 21st. Quote, "Like a pent-up movie monster chained to the wall of a dank dungeon, Trump's aggression waits and lurks." Quote, "It is so nice the shackles have been taken off me, and I can now fight for America the way I want to." And I believe we do have a live shot, actually, from Trump Tower right after he tweeted this.
Wait a minute, hold on! Look out, get moving!
And Trump is loose. And there you have it. The Republican Party thought that they could contain Trump. Paul Ryan thought they could contain Trump. Everybody thought Trump was containable and controllable and that they would be able to use him in order to get ahead. And it turns out that Trump, in the end, is just Trump. It turns out that Trump, in the end, is just Trump. Here's something I wrote August 18th. I haven't been right about everything in this election, but since the primaries ended, not to say that I was right about everything, but I kind of was. August 18th at The Hill, quote, "Trump wants to go out on his own terms, and those terms will be fully Trumpian, which means that Trump will get Trumpier. The let Trump be Trump angle always attracted Trump since he's a narcissist. Now he'll get to play out his fantasies with Steve Bannon screaming, 'That's genius,' in his ear every few hours. Never mind what happens to the Republican Senate and House. The campaign has been Trump's plaything. He'll play with it until the batteries go dead." Okay, there's a report today from Robert Costa at the Washington Post. What is Trump doing? He's holed up at the top of Trump Tower. And at the top of Trump Tower, he is tweeting out with Steve Bannon at his side. So, this is just, it's devastating all the way around. It's just awful. It's awful. And this is what you get when Trump is the standard bearer for a party about whose principles he simply doesn't care. And everybody who's arguing, look, I can see people arguing with me in the comments that Trump is still the big winner. Okay, fine. If you want to believe in this fantasy world that Trump is still going to win and that the only thing that stops Trump is people like me and that if it were only for us jumping on board, you can live in that delusional world, I suppose. I just don't see how it's going to help. right? Laura Ingraham is living in that delusional world too. Right, this is Laura Ingraham had a piece today. That's just a stupid piece. Laura, I don't. She's an intelligent woman, but whatever drugs she's been taking during this campaign have done something. She says a memo to the anti-Trump pro-globalization wing of the GOP. The day after a strong debate performance by your party's nominee, you decided not to celebrate it, but to dismiss and distract from it. You called your friends in the press and told them about the coming GOP stampede away from Trump. Well, no, actually, the GOP stampede happened on Saturday before the debate, Laura. She said if you succeed in helping Democrats elect Hillary Clinton, you, not he, will be held responsible for losing the Supreme Court and busting up the Republican Party. Again, they're rewriting history as it's happening. It's Trump's fault he's losing. It's always the candidate's fault when he lost. I'm old enough to remember when Mitt Romney lost. There was no talk about all the people who stayed home for Mitt Romney. There was lots of talk about how Romney blew the second debate, how he ran a weak campaign, how he should have attacked Barack Obama more. I don't remember anybody saying all those people who didn't show up for Romney, that was truly a stab in the back to Mitt Romney. I really don't remember that. Do you? I don't. When a candidate loses, it's on the candidate. End of story. But again, Trump is doing two things. The first thing that he's doing is he's saying that he was stabbed in the back. And we'll get to the second thing in just a moment. But first, we have to say hello to our friends at Helix Sleep. So, if you ever want to get a great mattress at a really affordable price, Helix Sleep is the way to go. HelixSleep.com/Ben. So Helix Sleep runs a 3D biomechanical model of your body through a proprietary algorithm that they've developed. You can go on their website and you talk about kind of what kind of mattress you like, what your body type is, how much you weigh, and they customize the mattress and then they send it to you in the mail. We have one, and it's fantastic. It's super duper comfortable. It inflates basically. You take it out of the box and you take it out of the packaging. The air hits it and it inflates, and it's incredibly comfortable. And the cost on it is really great. A really great mattress costs you like $5,000 or $10,000. This thing costs you like $1,000 maybe, and it's fantastic. It arrives at your door in a week, and shipping is 100% free. And then you sleep on it for 100 nights. And if you don't like it, they give you a 100% refund, no questions asked. So there's no risk involved at all. It's HelixSleep.com/Ben. I have one of these mattresses. I sleep on one of these mattresses. It's truly comfortable, and it's really great. So I recommend this very, very highly. Okay, so the number one thing Trump is doing is he's doing the Dustleg and the stab in the back, and his supporters are doing the same thing. So Mike Huckabee is now saying that it's the bedwetting GOP. They can't stand it. It's all their fault. It's not Trump's fault. It's their fault.
Here's a little secret, Megyn. A lot of these bedwetting, hand-wringing Republicans, they're not afraid Donald Trump is going to lose. They're scared to death he's going to win. And if he wins, he's going to mess up the neat little package of fun they have because they all play to the donor class. And Donald Trump is coming to make big changes in the way that these institutions go.
Okay, and he's saying, yeah, that's really what's happening, right? People are opposing Trump because they're afraid that he's going to win? No, the reason that people are opposing Trump is because they're afraid he's going to drag them to a loss. Okay, people don't want to hug an electrical fire while it's raging. It turns out that clutching a landmine to your chest may not be the best electoral strategy. Okay, because, and you know how you can tell? The way you can tell is when he was doing well in the polls, nobody was running from him, were they? Right? Where was the big exodus? If they were so afraid of Trump winning, why didn't they leave him 3 weeks ago when he was doing well in the polls? They waited until he was doing badly, and they were afraid he was going to drag them down. So we're just saying obviously untrue things now, that he's being stabbed in the back and all the rest. Bill O'Reilly is trotting out this claim that the media are trying to crush Donald Trump as well. Here's Bill O'Reilly, and Trump tweeted this particular clip out.
It's a complicated situation, but I think everyone can agree, except for the media organizations that now have ordered their employees to destroy Trump. There's at least 3 of them. And I can't say who they are right now because I don't have it nailed down, but I am 100% convinced. And these media organizations have actually put out, if you support Trump, your career is done here. All right, and that's
we can stop that there. So the idea is the media is okay. First of all, everybody knows the media is out to get Trump. Why is that any shock at all? He still has to face it down. He still has to win. Second of all, I am very well aware of many conservative media organizations that have actively threatened employees for not supporting Donald Trump. I know about them, and I can't say more than that. But the idea that this doesn't exist on both sides is just silly. Okay, we have to let you go on Facebook and YouTube. More dark and doom when you come to dailywire.com because there's more to get to here. And I think it's important, again, I'm sorry that I have to speak truth. I'm sorry I have to tell you the truth about polls. I'm sorry to burst bubbles about how Donald Trump is the great God King who's going to win and all this stuff. But I think it's important for people to know what's happening in real time and for people to pay attention to the realities of what's happening in real time, not just the rosy depictions that you're going to see over at Breitbart or on Fox News at a certain particular time in the evening. DailyWire.com if you want to subscribe, $8 a month. And we have some goodies that are coming for people who are subscribers. That's coming in the next week. Plus, you get the podcast and you get the rest of it live, and you get all sorts of goodies, including being part of the mailbag. You can be part of Andrew Klavan's show as well. He gives a more upbeat version of what's going on, because it's hard to find a more downbeat one today, isn't there? So anyway, go over to dailywire.com, become a subscriber right now.